Good afternoon. We'll get started in just a minute. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. This is Kara Rouse with NCFlex, and we are here today for our employee session for February, where we're going to talk about our group term life insurance and our accidental death and dismemberment insurance. We group them together because they are both with Voya. They both are not the most exciting thing to talk about, but I want to help you understand them better, how to name beneficiaries, how to tell your family members about it, what you have, where they can get information from, and just some additional benefits that are on there that you can use and you may not know about. And I'll go ahead and say up front that if you are a university employee, these plans you would not be eligible for. So if you are a university, you're more than welcome to listen. But these plans would not apply to you, and you should check with your benefit representative on the plans you're eligible for. Universities use Securian, I believe, for their life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment. Other NCFlex plans university employees are eligible for. These are just two they are not. So we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. Again, we're just going to talk about what these insurances are so you understand them better, because I know at least with our accidental death and dismemberment, or our AD&D, a lot of people get that confused with the accident plan, which is for more common accidents and injuries, whereas our AD&D is for more extreme cases. We're going to talk about what is evidence of insurability. When does someone need to complete that? When is it required? How much the plans cost? Additional benefits, like I mentioned on both plans, how to update beneficiaries, because you can do that any time of the year. Continuation options for these plans if you do leave the state, and some resources to get more information if you need it or to share with your family members. So term life insurance, and before I start that, I'll mention that NCFlex benefits, we are a pre-tax program, and our benefits are supplemental, meaning it's not medical insurance. None of our benefits are, but we have multiple options: dental, vision, accident, cancer, critical illness, term life, AD&D. And our benefits are offered to agency employees, university employees, except for these two plans, and participating community colleges and charter schools. So a lot of our plans, most of them are going to go with you when you go from one of these state entities to another, so that you don't have to pick up other insurance. However, you may be interested in something outside of what we have, or something in addition to what we have, because our life insurance is term life. It's not whole or universal. And a whole or universal life policy is going to accrue cash value. And whereas the term life insurance does not accrue cash value. Once you pay for it and it ends, it ends. You do not have any cash value in that, but it is usually less expensive. But as the first bullet notes, term life insurance pays a lump sum benefit in the event of a covered person's death. Our term life insurance allows you to cover, let's see, it doesn't mention it on here, but it allows you to cover yourself, your spouse, and your children under age 26, unless they're disabled, over age 26. Now, I've mentioned already on the second bullet, it accumulates no cash value. There's no vesting requirements, just meaning that someone, when they start with the state, they can get this immediately. Because with the retirement system, if you participate in teachers and state employees retirement system or teasers, you, after 1 year of service, you will have a death benefit. And everyone gets that automatically as a contributing member of teasers after 1 year of service. The death benefit through the retirement system, if something happens to you, is going to pay out in a lump sum a year of your salary, no more than 20 or no less than 25,000, no more than 50,000. So some people say, well, don't I have an automatic life insurance? And that's probably the one you're thinking of. But again, you have to have a year, whereas this one you could pick up as soon as you start with the state. Like I said, it's usually less expensive than a permanent life insurance, and it typically ends after a specified amount of time or at the end of the term. For ours, you can keep it as long as you're employed with the state, and then you can port it directly with Voya as long as you're under age 70, but we're going to talk more about that. Whereas some term life insurances are like a 30-year term, a 20-year term. Ours you can keep as long as you are a active employee or if you're eligible to port it. Premiums do increase over time as you age. They increase every 5 years of your age. And so if your premium went up January 1st, it could be because you hit a new age bracket. Our group term life insurance is administered by Voya. Again, we have spouse and child coverage available. When you do add child or spouse coverage, all of your premiums become post-tax. All NCFlex premiums are normally pre-tax. This is the exception when you add family member coverage. And there's something else I was going to say about that. I can't remember what it was. Post-tax. You can continue it as long as you are active at work, and premiums are paid. Premiums are based on your age as an employee, if you are the employee, as of January 1st of each year. So if you cover your spouse, their premium is based on your age, not your spouse's age. They increase every 5 years, with the last increase at age 70. And at age 75, if you are still employed with the state, coverage and premiums reduced by 50% for you and your covered spouse on January 1st after your 75th birthday. I know what I was going to say. We do get the question sometimes on, can I just cover my spouse or my child and not have insurance on myself? With all of our plans, you do have to cover yourself in order to cover a spouse or a child. And our coverage amounts start at $20,000 and go up to $500,000 in increments of 10,000 is what you can add. And we'll talk about which ones require medical questions. And for children, you have the choice of $5,000 or $10,000 in coverage. And we also have a rate slide. So evidence of insurability, once you are newly eligible for our insurance plans, or you have a qualifying life event such as birth, marriage, divorce, adoption, EOI or evidence of insurability is not required if you add or increase up to what we call the guaranteed issue amount. For an employee, that's 200,000. For a spouse, that's 50,000. So if you had no life insurance and you get married and you want to add it, you can add it up to 200 for yourself and 50 for your spouse. Evidence of insurability is required though if you go over those amounts, because you can go up to 500,000. And once that evidence of insurability or EOI is required, it's going to get sent to you by Voya either through email or through the mail, depending on if they have an email address on file with you. For you. And documentation for a qualifying life event must be provided if you do have a qualifying life event. So if you're married, divorced, at birth, you do have to provide documentation to show that that life event did happen. Now, if you don't have a life event or you're no longer newly eligible, then during annual enrollment, which is typically in October of each year, you can add or increase your life insurance up to the guaranteed issue amount in increments each year. So if you're currently enrolled in the plan, you can increase your amount by 10 or 20,000 each year until you hit that guaranteed issue amount of 200,000 or 50,000 for spouse. If you've never had the plan before, then at open enrollment, you can add the plan and get $20,000 of coverage with no medical questions. And child coverage can be added to annual enrollment without any evidence of insurability required. And all of this information is in our guide if you ever have questions about it, and on our website, ncflex.org. This rate chart is on our website and in our guide, but these are the rates based on your age as of January 1st. And it's per, like if you look under the light blue section, that amount is per $1,000 of coverage. So if you wanted 100,000, which you can see that's on the chart, but if you wanted 500,000, you take that amount under the light blue and you multiply it by 500. And then if you do add child coverage, the rate is a base amount for as many children as you have covered. It's 68 cents for $5,000 of coverage and $1.36 for $10,000 of coverage. I'll mention that Voya, for their coverage, they do require a child not to be married. So even if your child's under age 26, if they are married, technically Voya says that they are not eligible. And I also want to mention, I can't remember if I have this on a slide or not, but one thing to keep in mind as well is if you have a spouse that works for the state or a child that works for the state and is eligible for our group term life or our AD&D plans, only these two plans specifically, they must be covered as an employee, not as your dependent. Voya also has stipulations about that. Okay, so this is one of the additional pieces of the group term life insurance. There's three, I guess what we'd call extra benefits in addition to just the straight term life payout in the event of a death. One of them is called the accelerated death benefit rider. This pays out 50% of the coverage amount while you're living if you have a qualifying event, which means if you are diagnosed with a terminal illness and are given less than 6 months to live without a reasonable chance of recovery, or if you are diagnosed with a condition requiring continuous confinement. And that would be continuous confinement in an institution and are expected to remain there for the rest of your life. So this would be for you or your spouse's coverage. If this happened to one of you, then you would be eligible for that payout of 50% while you're living. Now, let's say that you get better from that terminal illness or you no longer require continuous confinement and you were paid out that 50%. They're not going to ask for it back. Your benefit would just be reduced by 50%. It's going to be reduced by that 50% anyways if you're paid that out up front. But that is an option available if that happens. And it just mentions there that receipt of this benefit may be a taxable event. Another benefit on the group term life insurance is if you go out on a permanent disability and are totally disabled and meet certain requirements, which is the disability began before your 60th birthday, you're covered under the policy on the date you became disabled. All premiums are up to date. The waiver of premium is approved by Voya, so you can then request a waiver of premium so that you don't have to pay that premium while you're on a disability. We have several plans that have that, which would be the term life, the AD&D, the critical illness, and the cancer plan. So if you do go out to a disability, just ask your HR, are there any plans where I can waive premiums? And they can help you to request that, or they can come to us and we can help them on how to request that. Another benefit on the group term life plan that a lot of people aren't familiar with is the bereavement support. And I'm gonna see if I can find the flyer for this because I wanted to pull it up on the screen. Let's see. This changed a little bit last year. I think around April, Voya used to use Everest for the funeral planning and concierge services. And some people did use that and were able to create a will online. And if you did that, that would be, they no longer have a contract with Everest. They have a new contract. And this is, let's see if it tells me who the company is with. I can't remember. No, but I have the flyer up in front of me. So I wanted to look to see if I could see what the name is. Empathy is the name. So this includes access to bereavement support, including funeral planning and will preparation. Now, this is something we do have a flyer on, and if you are someone who likes to provide your family with information on the benefits you have, I would give them this flyer because if something does happen to you, this bereavement support is for them as well. So it's for them or for you to use. And I just posted a link to the English version of the flyer in our chat. The Spanish version is linked in this slide deck, which I sent to everybody today. So some of the services that are included are an obituary creator, grief resources, help claiming benefits, probate and estate administration. And then we have the flyers linked here. And what I wanted to do was just pull up the flyer here on the screen and kind of show it to you. Let's see. And this is the English version. So it has some of the things I listed there on the screen. And then it has like these funeral planning services, funeral home finder, concierge support, guides and checklists, online planning and price comparison. So you may not be familiar with the funeral homes in your area or which one to use. So you can compare them online. They also have a will preparation service, drafting a will, issuing a financial power of attorney. Now, if you need further estate planning other than will preparation, then you can also look at State Employees Credit Union. They have a great program for estate planning that's at a discounted rate. And then on the back, the second page of this, it tells you how to get started to use the services. And I see that someone has their hand raised. I don't know if you had a question. I'm going to click allow to talk. So if you want to unmute the one who has the email address ahart36.
Yeah, I was going to ask exactly what you were talking about when you mentioned this service. So you went into it, so I couldn't take. Yeah, I'm good. I got this information. Thanks.
UNC Charlotte. What are you with UNC Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay. So you might have missed it in the beginning, but university employees actually don't use our group term life and AD&D coverages. So none of this would apply to you.
Is there any service that can do a will for us?
I would ask your HR department because you guys have a separate term life and AD&D coverage through Securian because the universities removed off of ours a couple years ago and went on to Securian. So they no longer have, this is, Voya is the one who contracts with this company. So, I mean, I know State Employees Credit Union has the estate planning, but that is a cost. So as far as will prep, you may want to check with your HR department.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so again, the flyer is posted in the chat. If you guys want to pull that up, print it off, save it as a screenshot or a link somewhere, you know, if you have a spreadsheet that you have for family on what needs to happen in the event something happens to you, then that's a great thing to save. Okay, so that was all of the group term life insurance. And then we have the AD&D insurance is next, which is accidental death and dismemberment. Again, this is different than our accident plan. We did a webinar on our accident plan in December, which you can find on our website. We have a recording and slides on our webinars page, which is where we post everything that we do on these webinars. And I'll post our webinars page in the chat. So you're welcome to go check out the accident plan on there. But with the accidental death and dismemberment, it pays a benefit in the event of a covered person's death or serious injury if it results, I don't know what I wrote there, if the result of a covered accident. Okay, I think there's a missing one. If it is the result of a covered accident. It will not pay benefits for death due to sickness or illness. So this is not a straight life insurance policy because it's not going to pay just in the event of death. It has to be due to an accident. Usually it's a very low cost insurance. I'll show you the cost of it because it is much cheaper than life insurance. And it does not go up due to age. And it has large amounts of coverage. It covers, and this is general information, but typically AD&D insurance does cover accidents on or off the job. Ours does. There are some limitations. I think like if someone is committing a crime when they're injured and hurt or pass away. This plan is also administered by Voya. It's got the same rules, by the way, as the group term life that I mentioned, because they are both through Voya, that you can add a spouse and a child. However, if they're eligible to be covered as an employee, they should be covered as an employee. If the child is married, they should not be covered. Will Voya find out they're married? I don't know. It just depends on if you file a claim, and if they knew the child was married, they could deny that claim. There are two plans available. There's the core AD&D, which is free, and you do have to enroll in that if you want it. So just check your benefits on the enrollment platform. Make sure you have the core AD&D. If you don't, you can enroll in it during open enrollment, or if you have a life event. It is a $10,000 policy you do not have to pay for. NCFlex pays for that for anyone who enrolls in it. For voluntary AD&D, that's additional coverage. It's low cost and pre-taxed. It has employee only or employee family options available. If both you and your spouse work for the state, again, don't cover each other. But if you do cover children, don't double cover children. Just make sure you both don't have the family plan if you have children. It ranges from $50,000 up to $500,000 in coverage. The increments go up by $50,000, and the premiums start at 90 cents a month. So that's how cheap it is if you got the lowest amount. Benefits payable for covered accidents on or off the job, and premiums are not age banded like I mentioned. Our coverage and premiums do reduce by 50% after your 75th birthday if you're still employed with the state. And this insurance should not take the place of life insurance, like I said, which does pay life insurance, like a straight life insurance policy is going to pay a benefit just due to sickness and or accident, and this would pay for accident. So if someone does die due to an accident and they have both the AD&D and the life insurance, both would be payable. So this shows you a sample of the things that are payable. I think this is, I can't remember. There are additional benefits on top of this, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. But the main one is going to be life. And then you have the dismemberment part of it, which is sight, speech, if you lose hands or feet, or multiple limbs. These are the premium amounts. So you can see, like, if you got $500,000 of coverage, it's $9 a month pre-tax. So you're really probably paying more like $7 a month, no matter your age. Under the family principal sum, what this is explaining is that if you do cover a spouse or a child on this plan and they have a claim, their amount is only going to pay out for a spouse at 50% of your amount you're paying for. And for a child, it's only going to pay out 10%. So yours would pay out 100% of whatever the benefit is, and theirs would pay out at a percentage of that. Okay. So with the core AD&D, the max amount it will pay out is $10,000. That's the free plan. If you have the voluntary AD&D, there are additional benefits that are payable. All of these things listed here are go more in depth in our certificate, which is on our website, in the AD&D section. Let me see if I can find it. This is the AD&D section I'm going to put in the chat. And if you go there and you look at the certificate, you can do a control find on your keyboard, like a control F, and you can search like criminal assault and it'll tell you what that additional benefit is. I can't remember what that asterisk stands for though. Family option only on some of these. Let's see. So Robert said, please clarify, I work at NC State. Am I eligible for everything you were talking about except the real estate planning? No, if you work for the university system, both plans that I'm talking about today, you are not eligible for. So again, you're welcome to stay on and listen, but you do not have any of these things. Because the group term life and AD&D plans, you have through separate company. So your insurance is going to be a little bit different. Now, generally, AD&D and group term life work the same way, but your coverage amounts, your cost, your additional benefits are all different than ours. Securian, and let me see if I can find, I feel like, let me see if I can find that website real quick. Because when you go into Empyrean during open enrollment, you see a group term life and a AD&D benefit on your enrollment platform for university employees, but that is not through us. Everything else on there that's supplemental, or most of it, is through us. I'm trying to find health and wellness benefits, the page that gives you the information. Benefits enrollment, workers' comp. I would start here for university employees. If you need a contact at the university system, you type in our email address. Email us at ncflex@nc.gov. You asked, is there a way to access information or a recording that is relevant specifically to UNC Charlotte employees? I know, I'm sorry. We did, when we sent out the email about this opportunity today, we made sure to put in there, it wasn't for university employees. And when I sent out the reminder today, I also put it in there to try to make sure you didn't waste your time. And I'm sorry that you came on and it wasn't for you. But there are some, if you email us ncflex@nc.gov, we can get you connected with your HR and they can help you with, because all of our other benefits, other than these two, you're eligible for. Oh, the disability, you're not, I'm sorry. Disability, AD&D, and group term life, you're not, but all the other ones through NCFlex you are. And we tried to make note everywhere that who's eligible and who's not. But the university system doesn't use those three. But if you reach out to us, we can get you a contact with them that you can talk to. So this is just an example of the voluntary AD&D benefit and if something happened, and how it would possibly pay out with the additional money on above what the 100% benefit is. So this employee is married with 2 children, ages 2 and 4. It's a DOT worker for 6 years. They have $500,000 in voluntary AD&D for them and their family and $10,000 in core AD&D. They are paralyzed from the neck down while working when their truck collides with another vehicle that was being pursued. The person in the other vehicle was intoxicated and charged with a felony to flee to elude arrest. assault with a deadly weapon, and a reckless driving, amongst other charges. And these are based on real scenarios, unfortunately. So in this scenario, the person paid premiums for 6 years. So when you calculate out how much they paid, because it is a really inexpensive product, they paid $13 a month because it was the family plan for 72 months, which was $936 pre-tax now. So it was a little less than that. And then they had the core, which is free. So at the bottom of the list, you'll see the main benefits, the 500,000 and the 10,000 for quadriplegia because they were paralyzed. They also received a therapeutic counseling benefit of 24,000, adaptive home vehicle benefit of $5,000, in-hospital indemnity, a custodial care, a criminal assault benefit, and a child care benefit because they do have children in daycare. Documentation must be submitted, services rendered, claims approved, etc., before benefits are actually paid, and benefits are payable even though the accident didn't result in death. So this was a dismemberment part of the AD&D. And this is kind of just to make you aware that there is like these additional benefits on this plan, so that if you or someone ever had to file a claim for this plan, keep in mind that there are these additional benefits. So you may want to call Voya, talk to them, and see what might be available, or your family member might want to do that to make sure you cover anything that they need. Because if you simply send them a death certificate and the information on how the person passed away, they may not pay out all these additional things. In this example, someone just had the $10,000 for AD&D. They're married with 3 children, ages 10, 16, and 19, State Highway Patrol trooper for 20 years. They had the $10,000 core AD&D. They died due to a motor vehicle accident while in pursuit of an impaired driving suspect. So this person would get the $10,000, which is still a good benefit, but if they have the voluntary AD&D, there could be an additional payout. So, let's see. Our AD&D plan, like I said earlier, also has that waiver of premium available, which can be waived if you're totally disabled and meet certain requirements. Voya is going to have the same requirements on this as they do on the group term life waiver. So if you do become disabled, you would just want to reach out to your HR or us, and we can tell you how to apply for that. To learn more, you can learn to read the certificate of insurance on our website. Now, on our AD&D and our accident plan, we have a Voya travel assistance benefit. This one we've had for many years. It's changed companies over time. I Am Global became the company a couple years ago. But similar to the funeral planning benefit, there is a flyer with the information on it on how to use this benefit. A travel assistance, and I'm going to put the flyer in the chat. The travel assistance is not a travel insurance. It's to assist you when you travel 100 miles or more from your primary residence or in another country, and you have a medical emergency, then that's where this benefit would kick in. So right there on the bottom of the screen, it tells how you can create an account if you want to go ahead and do that. And just, if you know you're going to travel, even when you're in North Carolina, going from Raleigh to the beach, that's over 100 miles away. Raleigh to the mountains to the beach, wherever. You're a lot of times traveling more than 100 miles. So it's not just when you're traveling far away. Let's see. And this would be for your family too. So you would want to share this with them if they're traveling. This screenshot is directly from the flyer. It just gives you kind of an idea of the things that are available, including emergency medical transport services, where it notes vehicle return services, medical repatriation, emergency medical evacuation, visit of a family member or friend. Then you've got medical assistance services with interpretation, prescription transfer and shipping, replacement of medical devices, travel assistance services, and security assistance services, natural disaster evacuation. So again, just check out the brochure, save it or screenshot it or something if you do travel, and it could be something you need one day. So updating beneficiaries. You can update your beneficiaries at any time during the plan year. It does not have to be during open enrollment, and that's done in the enrollment system through e-benefits. If you are a Beacon employee, you can go through Fiori and click on e-benefits, not my benefits, but e-benefits. If you are not a Fiori employee, you can just go here, shpnc.org/e-benefits, choose the group that you're with, and you can log in from there. Let's see. You can name beneficiaries for cancer, critical illness, AD&D, and group term life, and university employees, which if you are still on here just hanging out, you name beneficiaries for your plans in the Imperium platform. When you go into the enrollment platform, like on that page, the first thing you're going to do is click on benefits at the top left hand of the screen. And then it's going to take you to your current benefits, and you're going to scroll down until you see the plan you want to add or edit the beneficiary on. If you don't have one, it'll say add here where this edit button is on my screen. And then you can either make changes based on the people who were listed, or you can add someone here down at the bottom, add beneficiary, and type someone's information in. You do not need their social for this. You just need their name really and their relationship to you. But the more information you can put in, the better, because if something happens and Voya needs to reach out to these people, it's good to have that information. Oh, and you can list a primary and a secondary. Either way, it has to equal 100% on both. And you don't have to have a secondary, but you can. And I think that was, okay, then you click next, save, and save changes at the end. And that was only for our benefits. Now, if you have benefits, like you participate with teasers, Teachers and State Employees Retirement System, you would update that beneficiary through Orbit. And if you participate with Empower, like on one of the 401k or 457 plans, you would update that directly through Empower's website. So how or when can you enroll or make changes? You have 30 days from becoming a new hire or newly eligible, or when you experience a qualifying life event. That's when you can make changes or enroll in the coverage, or during annual enrollment in the fall. Enrollment is done in the enrollment platform linked on our website or through your HR portal. So Beacon employees, you go through Fiori if you want to, or you can go directly to the e-benefits link and click on the Fiori button, or you can call customer service number for enrollment for the enrollment platform and do that over the phone. Remember that evidence of insurability may be required, medical questions, depending on how much term life coverage you choose. And like I mentioned earlier, if both you and your spouse or your child are eligible to elect these coverages as an NCFlex eligible employee, you must elect to cover yourself as an employee, not as a dependent, and you cannot double cover children on either of these plans. None of our plans should you ever be double covered. Now, if you want to have our cancer plan and another cancer plan through someone else, that's fine. But if you have the cancer plan and your spouse has our NCFlex cancer plan through Allstate and you are covering each other, they will only pay once because it's the same policy. Now, if you leave employment, retirement, you lose eligibility because you just separate, go to another job, there's the option to port the coverage directly through Voya for term life and AD&D. Now, term life, you have to be under age 70 to port. And all porting is doing is meaning you are no longer under our group coverage. You are now under Voya, paying them directly. AD&D, you can port at any age. You don't have to be under age 70. It's the same cost as you pay now for both plans, unless you go to conversion for the term life, because you do have a conversion option with our term life at any age. Or if you're over 70 or older, then conversion would be your only option. That would convert it to a whole life policy. It would be more expensive, but it does build cash value, and premiums do not change with age. You can contact Life Help for information and rates on that conversion option. This is where you can find us, ncflex.org. You can email us, and that's Voya's customer service. Again, Life Help, if you need to reach out to them. That is also Voya's customer service, is who you or a family member would contact in the event you need to file a death or an AD&D claim. You want to go to Life Help first, because they're going to help you or a family member initiate that claim. Okay. So if you have a place where you keep information for your family, put that down. If I die, call this number. Okay. They can call us too. They can email NCFlex, because we will also help them or you out if something happens with you or a family member. Because we can also look at any other coverages you had to tell you, or that you had covered like on your spouse or your child. We can and find out what could be payable, who you need to contact, not just for the term life and AD&D. All right. Are there any questions? I'll stay on for just a couple minutes in case you guys have any other questions. And next month, we're going to talk about the Empower plans. If you're interested in signing up for that webinar, we're actually, Empower is going to present on that. Jennifer with Empower, her last name used to be Willis, and now she has a different last name. I can't remember what her new last name is. Christy asked, does the will prep help you to actually create a will or just information? It allows you to create a will, Christy. Because that used to, now there's probably some limitations, like I mentioned, if you want estate planning. It's probably a basic will. I haven't tried it, but we did have some of my coworkers tried the one that we used to have through Everest, and they were able to create a will online. So Shelby, if you have the term life coverage, you cannot convert it unless you leave the state. Because when you leave the state, you're no longer eligible for the active coverage. So the only option is to port or convert. But you may want to look into, if you're interested in a whole or universal life insurance, the State Employees Credit Union, if you're a member of them, and if you're not, you can become a member as a state employee or a family member of a state employee. And they do have term or whole, I can't remember, because I remember asking them, life insurance that you might want to check out. Yeah, they have whole there, and you can get a quote from them. So that might be something you want to check out, because ours won't let you convert while you're an active employee. We can only have certain types of plans, since we are a Section 125 plan. NCFlex plans are pre-tax, and so we can't have whole or universal life. All right, well, it looks like that's all of the questions. If you guys think of anything else, you can email us ncflex@nc.gov, or you can click on one of these things on here where it says questions, and you click on NCFlex and it has a form you can fill out to send us a question. And we'll try to answer for you. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you learned something and that you have a good rest of your day.